Heroku, I guess you were a seed investor.
Seed investor in Heroku.
Can you tell that story? That was a company that went off on to sell. I think the public numbers were $250 million to Salesforce.
That's right.
Or something.
Yeah.
What happened there? Like, tell us the story of that.
That's a great story in that, so I met the Heroku guys, which was a Y Combinator company through Paul Graham, in the fall of '07, and I ended up being a part of the seed round in early '08. And I liked the space. I liked the idea of developer productivity and increasing that. And so when you take a look at the other trend then, which was Ruby on Rails, it was a beautiful
So it's
framework.
It's basically a hosted Ruby on Rails.
That was their whole idea.
Platform.
Three, James, Ryan, and Adam, three founders who were all consultants helping their clients build Ruby applications, said, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this. Mm-hmm. So let's develop a platform. And to me, that was an obvious productivity gain in a market that was evolving. So we went at that for 2 years and developed the product, developed the platform. Again, like Kevin, did away with some of the features.
In that case, they were consultants who actually had people using their platform when you invested?
Yes. So they already had
some traction
proof.
Or some proof, okay.
Yeah, definitely had social proof, that's what a lot of people call it now. To me, it's just like really good evidence that what they have built is something of value. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up going at it for 2 years. And to me, part of the interesting story about Heroku is in the spring of 2010, they got an awesome acquisition offer in and around what the average exit looks like.
It was like 100-ish or something, we'll say.
Yeah, just under 100. And everyone was happy. The founders were psyched, and most of the investors were psyched. And this was an odd one for me because this was one where I was psyched too. My whole fund strategy is to, as I said before, is to enjoy the success of entrepreneurs with an average exit and be aligned with that. And this was a case where Heroku was a clear leader in the platform as a service space. There was no peer to them at the time. And so I became very convinced that we shouldn't sell, and ended up putting together a round which included founder liquidity to make it easier for the founders to say, okay, I can take some money off the table so I don't have all my eggs in the basket.
This is, in my opinion, a case where sort of the financing markets can really add value to everybody. So
absolutely.
The situation, right, is they're first-time founders. They're offered some $100 million. It's sort of like they'll make tons of money, and it's very hard to turn down, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. By offering them liquidity, and by that, basically that means they take some, if they were going to make $10 million, now they get $3 million in the bank they can take home, instead of having to, make a binary decision of all in or all out. Mm-hmm. They can sort of make a partial decision, like take some off the table and then still go for it. And the investors like it because they have a portfolio and they want them to, they're willing to take that additional risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just convinced that
it's a nice model, and
it worked out beautifully because here I was the smallest investor at that point in time, and I basically said, guys, I'm a believer. I know you're a believer. Why don't we think about this differently and see if there's a way we can keep going? And if you decide you want to sell, I'm totally fine with that. Yeah. And so the history is now that they decided to keep going. And ironically, nearly 180 days later, they sold for about 180 million more. Mm-hmm. So they created an incremental $1 million of value per day for themselves and the employees. And I think, quite frankly, really, to this day, are really changing the ecosystem. I mean, they're creating true value for developers and for...
I think every day I see a pitch that's Heroku for blank.
Yeah, right? Well, we all work in analogies, so that's a good... Remember when YouTube sold, it was YouTube for blank, right?